I want to share with you my first art haul. It's from Jackson's and I hope there's some really special goodies inside. And this, and this, and this. Right, what are we going to open first? Let's try this. Oh, it's my Neo colours. Oh my gosh, I tried a few of these out when I was in Brooklyn and oh my gosh, I did not know how amazing the results would be. I know that there's different types of Neo colours and I've seen other artists use them and I'm just thrilled. I want to create a project straight away using these, so that's going to come in really handy. It is Posca pens. Oh my gosh, these are really thick. As you can see, they're chisel tip. This is 8mm and this one is beige. I'm hoping to do quicker studies having these, and also this one is light orange, but it's more of a peachy colour really, isn't it? And this one, they're calling it slate grey. So can't wait to start using those. Oh, and here, these are... Oh, I know what these are. These are the Luminance pencils by Caran d'Ache, adding to my collection. We've got Crimson Aubergine, Slate Grey, and also Cornelian, because I don't actually have very many oranges in my set, so this is going to be a really good example. Acrylic inks. I haven't bought any acrylic inks in ages, and these were always my favoured versions when I did buy them. They're from Daler-Rowney, and this one is kind of sparkly in there. I didn't know it was going to be sparkly. It is called Peach Pink, and it's kind of a warm beige colour. Lovely. And this one, oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that blue. It's actually phthalo turquoise. That's pretty amazing colour. This one is slightly different. This one is marine blue, so it's a lot darker. I'm really hoping to create some sort of sea life pieces with those. And this final one, I've wrapped this up rather well. Oh, it's cartridge paper. I don't know what Americans call it. In England, we've just called it cartridge paper. And this is something that I've been using since I was a student. It's smooth cartridge paper. It's 150 GSM, and I like to use this for collages. It's fairly thin, and it means that I can cut it out quite easily. So you might call it heavy duty art paper in the US. Before I forget, I wanted to include these to show you. I already have a few of these Pentel colour brush pens in my art kit. If you look at my recent video about the materials I use, I'll include a description in the link. I really enjoy using them, so I thought I'd order a few new colours. This one is just grey, emerald green. They call this one steel blue, and also olive green. Let's use my new cartridge paper to test out a few of these items. What you have to do when you first get one of these is get rid of this ring so that you can puncture the cartridge, and then you have to squeeze the barrel. I can hear the liquid ink inside. You have to squeeze pretty hard, but you can see it's coming through now. The tip is now turning a blue colour. This is the steel blue. Oh, that's quite deep. Oh, gorgeous. Now, I do know that if you add water to this, so this is just plain water on this brush, you can achieve effects like that, which is marvellous. And the wonderful things about these colour brush pens is you can have really thin lines like this, thick lines like this, and even effects like that. Moving on to the olive green. Oh, I love that. It means also I haven't squeezed the barrel enough, so let's get a bit more ink on. That's better. Oh, that's so deep. Love it. So gestural. Oh, I can see pine trees and whatnot with that. Wonderful, wonderful. Now this is the emerald green. Oh, look at that colour. Oh, azure lakes in the Alps or something. Really, really gorgeous. And the last one is a grey. Squeeze that a bit more. I really love using these. I know I have the Kuretake brush pens, but these are just that little bit thicker. Can you see how that splays out? I often like to use these brush pens just to add details and contrast. Wonderful. Starting with this light orange Posca. That is a lovely peachy colour. And also, before it dries, if you add a bit of water to it, you can get some effects like so. That's still got a bit of green on it from the brush pen. Now let's try the beige. Well, that's quite warm. I thought it'd be a little bit cooler than that, but very nice. The chisel tip means that I can do large areas like that. I can also do lines like that. So I can change the angle of the nib. Oh, I like how it does that. And now this is the slate grey. Oh, that is really dark, really, really dark. Oh, that's creating some interesting effects. It still had a little bit of the beige on my brush. That's very nice. One thing I will say, which I didn't realise with the lighter colours, is how flat this Posca is. If you know my work, you know that I really like to create a lot of effects, and I prefer these effects. So this is something that is unusual for me, just completely flat colour like that, but you might like that. Moving on to my luminance pencils, we have the slate grey. That's quite a warm grey for what I imagined. Now I think I should do a video on all my luminance pencils. Let me know in the comments if you'd like that. This one is the Crimson Aubergine. Oh, that's very nice. I can see how that could add a lot of intensity to some of my pieces, especially in contrast areas. And now this is the Cornelian. Oh my gosh, that is so deep. Beautiful, beautiful orange, almost burnt orange. Gorgeous. I can't wait to use some of that in my sketches. Let's move on to these Neo colours, which I have had my eye on for a while. Let's start off with this one. And I know you can add water to this. I didn't realise that they were water soluble. Oh, marvellous, marvellous. Quickly, I'm going to add some yellow nearby. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Do yellow by itself. So it behaves like a cross between a very rich coloured pencil and an oil pastel. What's this? Oh, that's gorgeous, that blue. This is cobalt. Oh, look at that. Oh, I like the effects where you add water. Carrying on with a bit of orange. Something else. Love it. They just call this scarlet. I know there's a pastel set, but I'm not sure at this stage whether I'm going to need that. I'm wondering if I can combine some of these colours together to get what I like. I love that pink. If I added a bit of yellow, I can't help myself. It's experimenting already. I'm only supposed to show you what I've bought. This one is violet. Oh, can you see where the paper's wet and where it's dry? I think I must mix them up. Oh, very nice, very nice. Now let's move on to the just brown. Nice, nice. I'm wondering what would happen if I add some black to that and some water. Oh gosh, that is rather nice. Right, I want to know how this white behaves. Hold on, I'm going to bring back the other sheet. I want to see how this performs on top of other colours. Oh, so that is the Neocolour on top of the Pentel brush pen. Let's take a look how purple, red, interesting. Oops, that is interesting. Wow, I've got choices here. If I put this white on top of the grey, that does work really well. What about a bit of orange over this grey? Bit subtle. What about the pink? Interesting. Okay. Last but not least, let's try out these Dana Rowney inks. Now this comes with a dropper, as most of these inks do, so you can apply it just on like that. Let's get myself a brush with a fair bit of water on it. Oh, love it. If I put the brush straight into here, actually I think I should have shaken it a bit better. Hold on. Let's see how that performs now. Oh, that's much lighter now. The pigments have mixed up and much better. Lovely coverage. Quite textural. If I take a bit of water off my brush, it looks a bit like watercolour. I can put watercolour on top of these and they won't shift. Sorry, this one is the marine blue. Beautiful, beautiful. Very intense. Let's add a bit of water, see how that behaves. Love it when that happens. Now this one is the phthalo turquoise. I'm wondering if it's going to be quite similar to that blue. Might be. It is quite similar, although I think it's less green, it's more on the blue scale. If I drop some of that marine blue onto it, yeah, that's nice. And if I add some of this, now that is going to make some really interesting results. I love watching what other artists use, and I do have an art supplies addiction. You don't have to have exactly the same art supplies as me, but it's always good to experiment with what you have. I want to end by showing you a few examples where I use the new Posca pens, the chunky versions. I'm just testing these out. These are not meant to be amazing, perfect sketches, and I didn't actually like them very much. I did learn an awful lot about the Posca pen, the grey one. I said it's very flat. Didn't actually like it in these two versions here, and I'm going to show you how I was able to resolve that in these two versions, which I did on the same day. So I use this beige one to go over the watercolour, just to knock back this watercolour background, and then I use this grey for the shadows. And I realised the shadows were a little bit too much for me, they were just too flat. And so I was able to go over them with some coloured pencil. You can just see it coming up there. I really like the textural quality. I was able to bring in some texture, so I was quite happy with that in the end. For this lemon, I used the grey in the background again to use the negative space around it to define the edge of the lemon. And I used another acrylic marker by, I think, Winsor & Newton to add some of the green. And you can see where I've been able to add extra textures. So I think in future I'm going to be using them like this, just because I just don't like flat areas. It's really interesting for me to work out my sketches like this. This is a sketchbook that I took out to paint on location, and you can see in the background there is some colour that I applied before I left the house, and that was actually made using the acrylic inks that I showed you. This is one of the blues and the peach, that when you merge it together it makes this lovely sort of light green, sage green almost. And then I put the Kuretake brush pens on top. Same again here. It's difficult to see, but I'll show you the originals. Pre-preparing your sketchbook pages like this before you go out and paint actually makes it easier, because you don't have a blank page to contend with. So I was able to put the brush pens on top. Really nice textures, and I like some of these effects coming in here. So I'm really pleased with what I was able to create using some of my new found art supplies. I really hope that you've enjoyed looking at my new art materials. If you have, please do consider subscribing, leaving me a thumbs up, and also comment. I would love to know what are some of your favourite art supplies and what have you bought recently.